Welcome back to Down on the Frame. Today we're going to be going over, finally, the 200 amp sub panel upgrade. You guys might have seen my previous video, 200 amp service upgrade. I didn't touch the panel on the inside, except I did split up the neutrals and grounds. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go through your house and replace your sub panel, which it was my main panel, is now a sub panel. I'm going to show you guys how to replace that, some ideologies with that, as far as wire management and installing equipment like this. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, because I'm going to try to pack this full, absolutely full of information for you guys. As well, if you haven't seen, I got my new Down on the Frame merch in. You guys can check out the store. It's connected to the YouTube page. So without further ado, let's get down on the frame. Okay, so I actually already mounted the panel to the zip system sheathing. This is my only regret of this entire process. I should have used 3/4 plywood versus kind of cheaping out. I already had this zip system sheathing on site because I had it for a different project. Now I'm just breaking out the tabs here to make sure I can get all the breakers in there. I'm moving on to getting our feeder conduit in here. So I'm going to be using 2-inch conduit that's going down into the basement. I'm using these clicks, which is actually the same stuff I used for my service outside. And I'm just kind of cut a little scrap piece just so I could mount the pipe in there, the conduit in there, and make sure I get the accurate hole. I sized up a hole saw so that it just fits around the 2-inch pipe. And we're going to drill that out. Make sure I'm constantly keeping my worksite clean. Let's talk about how I decided to place my panel here. All the circuits are there already, but I didn't want it on the outside wall anymore because you really can't get good access to it, and the studs were too close together for me to mount that panel there. I also wanted to give a little bit more space in between the gas and water system, the gas-fired furnace and water system that I have there. Right now I'm just cutting the PVC, make sure to ream it. Make sure there's no sharp edges because PVC can cut wire. And then I'm going to test fit it. But back to code and where to place your panels. I know it's tough in some situations, especially renovation situations, to place a panel 30 inches away from everything, but it is necessary for code. As a reminder, you do need to fill out paperwork with the town to get this electrical install inspected. It's the same process as I did with the 200 amp service. Here I'm going to cut open a piece of the ceiling so I can get to all of the other home runs. Some of those are coming from the 2 bedrooms upstairs, some of those are coming from the kitchen ceiling. And now I'm moving on to prepping the panel with some connectors, non-metallic sheath connectors. Alright, so I'm having a hard time conceptualizing where I want to bring everything. I'm going to try to bring everything through this channel. It's not an actual, it's like a 1x3. Thinking about bringing everything up through here. I'm going to see if I can even do that, because it might be floor joist right there. But if I can do that, I'm going to try to grab as many circuits and bring them up through here, up into the ceiling and down on top of the panel here. I just don't know if I have enough length on some of these wires. I just want to try to avoid anything down low where people, like boxes, and people can kick it. I'm just finishing up landing my heater wires in there before I cut the power. So I have my heater wire coming down into the panel here. I did land the neutral just to keep things clean. Have my 2 hot wires going to the 20 amp breaker. Make sure that your neutral bar is not bonded to your ground bar. There's a jumper here that I removed, and I made sure to ground the ground bar to the case here. And I swapped the AFCIs and GFCIs to the left side of the panel where the neutral bar is, just to make it easier to land them. And right now I'm just landing all of my neutrals for my arc fault breakers. Make sure those are all put together before I shut off the power to the house. Trying to do as much work as I can with the power on. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You don't want to be without power for a while. You want to make sure those arc fault breakers are well landed and secured, because we don't want any arcing that could potentially lead to false trips, false positive trips. Or I should say nuisance tripping, which is very annoying. So it's important to plan where you're going to have your AFCI, GFCI breakers with these pigtails, because you need that neutral line to reach all the way to the neutral bar. And here I started with the bottommost AFCI, landed its neutral at the bottom point, and then started working my way up to keep everything clean. tucked in there and not just a mess. Now we have our zip tie anchors already in place, 3 on each side, and we'll be able to keep tucking them down just like this, coming up, dropping all the landings in there. All right, I got backup. Jay is here. Just kind of planning out what we're gonna do. We think that what we're gonna try to do is, obviously the smart thing to do would be identify the circuits here, because we need to make sure we land them on the correct circuits on this panel. So once we get those figured out, by basically just flipping a bunch of breakers and seeing what turns off, and deductive reasoning, because I know what some of these are anyway, but yeah, so once we do that, we're gonna shut the power off and start pulling things over. We could do it in like, I don't know, pull only the non-critical loads, then we'll land those non-critical loads, keep this panel on, you know what I mean, like shut it off, pull some loads, land them, turn power back on as we're landing it so that everything's running, but I don't know. At this point, I think we should just run with it, shut the power off, get it done with.
Commit to it.
Commit, yeah. The only issue is the wife's here. So there's not gonna be any power.
I'm leaving.
Oh, okay, she's leaving. So we don't have to worry about having any power in the house then. Some circuits might not reach, so we might have to, you know, figure that out when we get to it. But we thought about doing a trough up top and then having 2 gunners down into the panel, like, I don't know, 2 2-inch gunners or 2.5 inches, whatever the panel accepts. It requires a lot more wiring. I'd have to go get some THHN. We pull all the circuits up into the trough. Like, it would be a little bit more time consuming. It'd be way cooler, but maybe on my future forever home, not with this. And this is honestly, this is an older used panel. It's not even a plug-on neutral. So I'll show you guys some really cool stuff in the future. I'll do it all industrial and make it very cool for you guys. But for this one, we're on a time crunch. Let's swap everything over, get the house powered up, because we still have to test, which is, I'm glad you're here, the baseboard electric heat that I installed. I haven't been able to power that on. That's actually that one Romex that's going in there right now. So as you can see, that's a total mess. And that will not be the case over here. We're gonna make it as clean as we can. There's obviously a lot more space in this panel. And yeah, it's gonna look better. We made it work since I did the 200 amp service upgrade outside. Also, a note is that the SCR we are using is only rated for 100 amps. And I know I'm putting it into a 200 amp panel. It is fine. As long as the conductor is protected by a breaker that is rated for 100 amps, which the sub panel breaker I have outside is 100 amp, this will just stay on and that one will trip and shut it off and keep those conductors safe. So, and I haven't posted it yet, but the Emporia energy monitor has told me that at most I've used about 30 amps of that 100 amp power in that panel, so I'm not worried about it. But I did run a 2-inch pipe so that I can fit up to 200 amp conductors in this panel when the time comes or if I need to. So we're gonna land that one in here because I'm not spending buku bucks on more wire for no reason.
Do we have to label everything? I think
no, we don't have to label everything.
So then I think
you don't need to.
It goes from circuit whatever rating to whatever circuit whatever rating, and then we can go through and label.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. Is like we could just shut the panel off, pull one, land it on a 20, pull one, land it on a 15.
Because this is a fucking mess.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go cut power, and then I'll be back in. I shut the main off, but I just have to shut off the sub. And I have a receptacle out there. So if we do want power in here...
I just run an extension cord?
Yeah, I have the 100-foot extension cord.
I don't really need it.
I don't think we need it. We'll leave everything on.
It's crazy how much of like a hum there is when the power's on.
Okay, Jake's diving right into it. He's going to start pulling out all of these circuits. It's a mess. He's trying to clean it up as best as he can. While he's doing that, he's going to be focusing on making sure that when he pulls them out, he puts them on the right breaker on the new panel. And really this, I mean, we had to jump into this. We have done all the work that we possibly can before we turn the power off. Now it's time to turn the power off and jump into it. I'm not in here. I'm actually down in the basement, and I'm pulling a lot of the old home runs that were down there because they were just absolutely a mess. Some had junction boxes that didn't have any covers or weren't secured. I finally jumped back in here just to land the SER on the main breaker. I do not torque it in this scene. I'm actually going to end up torquing it towards the end of the video. But I landed in here just so we can get this going, and we actually get a little bit curious and end up turning on the power. That's a big boy.
Yes, sir. Ooh, God.
First try.
Good guess. So those Allen keys, those are torque rated, right? There.
Yeah, my butt dyno says this would be good. Beep, 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 beep. You know, if we're curious after we land this, we really could just
turn it on.
Turn it on.
Check the baseboards.
Yep. It
all comes back to the baseboard.
Shoot, where's the kitchen circuit?
Is this a baseboard heater video or a service update video?
You'll never know. These look like such small conductors, dude.
I know.
Especially I'm landing these and I'm like, what?
Especially compared to the size of the breaker.
It's
a massive breaker. Just put some epoxy in the pipe. Get everything polished.
Is this Noah locks? No, it's epoxy. It's JB Weld.
Go ahead, try to pull that service line out.
Ain't happening, G.
I dare you. I have to demo the house around this thing. Oh, that's such a satisfying clip.
Alright, that's on.
It didn't explode.
Alright, you want to go look at that thermostat and see if it turns on? You can put your hand near the heater too. Ready?
Yep.
It says hi.
No way, it turned on?
Yeah.
Wow, I think I wired it right.
Well, this part at least.
Oh, it's a bird.
It's a bee.
It's a bee.
Oh.
It's close.
Eco bee. We're back into it. Jay's got most of the circuits out of there. We already checked the heat. It works. That was our big thing today. So I'm going to go back down. We got one more home run that we're redoing because it wasn't going to make the panel from the basement. I'm going to give that to Jay. He's going to pull into the panel. We still got some work to go, but we're moving. We're chooching. Per usual spec on these projects, we blacked out. Camera's been off for a bit, but Jay has just been going at it. We got wires coming down. This is the chase. It's going to get covered up. He's got most of them dropped down. This panel's ready to come out, so really all the basement work's done. We've extended a bunch of circuits. We are going to have to do some junction boxes up here. So far, our mission to keep all the circuits on the top, I think we're going to do it. I think it's success.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To the pile.
To the pile.
If it comes out of a box, do we have to secure it before it goes into the panel? Yeah, right. Well, you have to secure it into the box anyway. Yeah.
I love hand cut fucking table.
Oh my god, that looks so dangerous.
What?
What? It's all dead.
So what happens? We just cut them?
What do you mean, babe? Well, yeah, we're landing them. We're bringing them into the panel right now.
They were in the other panel.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're going to be alive?
Yes, they will. But they won't be hanging out like that when we guys at the panel. I don't have enough. I don't have a wide enough lens to capture all those goodies. All right, so we ended up getting 8x8, 8x8 can. We put a ground bar kit in there so we can land our grounds, and we're just gonna go on the top of that. Stainless is not magnetic though, which does pose an issue.
Should we drill the... Do you have enough room to drill the holes in that top plate?
No, we don't.
Sorry, I didn't see it until just now.
No, it's fine. It should be up here. Scratched her a little bit. She's okay.
Right.
Alright, could you hand me the can, sir?
The what?
Can?
Look at that.
What?
Tight right at the right spot. Like a gentleman.
Like a gentleman.
Don't you just love Phillips screws?
That thing... that cammed out the whole goddamn way, dude. Nothing but cam on that one.
How did the industry decide on that color of gray to be the standard?
Oh. Let's take a look, shall we? We push this one up here. Collar on down.
Make sure you get all the insulation too. That's key. In the pile.
Yeah.
There's the dags.
The schlop's coming off, Jay. Get in the hole. You get in the hole too. We're all getting in the hole today. Smoke them if you got them.
Oh man, it gets dark in here when that door closes. Something like that.
I know. It is pitch black.
Dude, this shot is just your ass.
Like, I don't know how to focus on this big of an object this close to my face. I mean, I guess we could come in through the top. Nail her there, and then... So the whole point of me doing this junction box was because I could not get to the other home runs, the points at which they ended, to extend the home runs into the panel. So I just did a junction box. We have 4 circuits total going into here. I used a ground bar because it bonds the box as well as gives me some room for expansion in the future. Why is this junction box kicking my ass? I'd lose in a race. There's guys that can do this 10 times faster.
But are those guys having as much fun as we are?
Are they having as much fun as we are on their Sunday night? I don't think so. Alright, so my junction box. We Wagoed it. Plenty of room in there. Glad I went with that size can. Probably could have gone with a 6, but the 8x8 feels much better. Got a ground bar in there, so everything's tucked away. Got a loop down on the panel. You guys can't see anything, but I'll update you in a minute. We gotta get moving. It's getting late. Okay, so we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this. Everybody's favorite, landing wires in the panel. I'm gonna start by separating out my wires and start by landing the grounds. Mostly, this actually looks a little bit backwards because I flipped the footage, but yeah, so I'm gonna pull everything to the left side of the panel as we're looking at it, land all my grounds, get those tucked in, cleaned up, zip tied in, make sure I'm bending them with a nice radius, no really hard 90s in there. That's actually part of the code. You don't wanna be doing that. So once we get all these grounds landed and cleaned up, then we're gonna move on to the next step. As you can see, I am having to extend a few wires using Wagos. They do make Wagos that are more of an inline style versus a side-by-side style. If I had those, I would have used them, but I just had the double Wagos. And then, as you can see, we're on to the neutrals. I planned this all out pretty well. When you're pulling your wires into your panel, you want to separate them, odd circuits and even circuits, and you want to land the wires through the holes on whatever side it correlates to. So I knew that all my circuits on the left are going to be landed or put through the holes on the left side of the panel, and they're just going to cascade perfectly into their breaker positions. I'm landing the hots now, which is the last step, making sure I'm getting a nice 90 on those with a nice radius, not a sharp 90. Keeping everything clean. If it's clean, it's safer. Ideally, too, I would go through and label all of these with their corresponding circuits. Here, I'm just kind of blowing some air on it because a little dust got on the system. Want to keep that clean. All right, looks like we're turning on circuits here. So I did energize the panel. There we go. Power's coming on.
Good job, Bubba.
I later realized I had landed that circuit, which is the kitchen circuit, on an AFCI. It was not supposed to be on that. I swapped it out, and we had no problems later. Right now we have pretty much the majority of the wires in there, except for two circuits. We don't have the dryer circuit and the washer circuit. So for the washer circuit, that's at 12 gauge right there. I'm going to do a receptacle and jump out of that, go up through, bring it down into the panel here. That way I don't need to run a whole new run. But for the dryer circuit, I think I'm going to run a new run. So we got some 10-3 there. That's actually like, I don't even know, it might be 10-4. There's a bunch of wires in there. So what we'll do is we'll push this washer and dryer out a little bit. We'll hook up, hi Beanie. We're going to hook up some 10-3 to it, and we're going to pull it from there through the wall out to here, go up and bring it down into the panel. We also have to label the circuits. I did mess up one of these and I landed the wrong circuit on an AFCI, and it was my fridge circuit, and that kept tripping. So it's really tough. I don't know how people get away with AFCI circuits in kitchens. They trip a lot, especially when it comes to a lot of blenders and stuff like that that have arcs built up in them. So very interesting. But also I've been running this panel for about 2 days now, and it's been great. No problems with it. We've been able to use the heat that we hooked up to it, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. We were able to get all the conductors to go in through the top and hide them in this area, this chase here. I do have to get some of those standoffs that you can hold a bunch of wires, and they kind of like, I think it's just a plastic standoff really. You just nail it into the wall, and it's got like 4 or 5 channels for wires to go up through. I got to do that to do some cable management behind here. It's going to be cutting it close, Chief. All right, we're on to the last bit of running wire that I need to do. I'm actually using a receptacle box as a junction box to continue the old Romex to the new Romex. I'm making sure I secure it within a foot of the box, and then every 3 or 4 feet after that. And I'm also bringing it down into the panel. I did rework some of the panel wiring and stack them on top, because those staples I use can do up to 2 12-2 conductors. So we did that, and then I'm just making up a receptacle here. Make sure you cut the tips after you twist those things. I don't know if I posted it already. I did have to redo this outlet a little bit ago. Gonna cut all the other conductors, tape to one, and then pull it through. Let you guys look at that side while I do this. Had good momentum until I was like, let me move the camera so they can see me. Trying to like put my arm on my knee, and as I'm going to pull it, I'm pulling with this hand and pushing with my knee to like try to just get it to go through the hole, because I can't like get down there and push. There we go. I am very happy that that went that easily. And this is actually a smaller wire than the one that they used, so it made it that much easier. Alright, so wires ran. I got the dryer back in place. Hopefully that receptacle works fine. Next step is to get it through that top plate in a nice manner, which is going to be tight, but we'll make it work. Then we got to pick a hole for this to go into. Oh my god. And yeah, then we can cut the power. We'll land this circuit on the empty AFCI, and that circuit on the 30 amp. Okay, everything's ready to go. We're also going to install the Emporia energy monitor. That's a separate install video and a different panel, but I'm going to try to show you as much as I can here too, and maybe drop some of that footage in that other video. I think I'm going to come out this side with the antenna, and then the rest of it should be pretty straightforward. All right, now's the time to talk about torquing branch circuit breakers. Should you do it? The answer is yes, the manufacturer requires it, which means it is code. So make sure you do that. You can get a torquing screwdriver. It's pretty expensive, but if you do this a lot, it's worth it. You should also do it on receptacles. And the breaker has all the inch pounds on it, so there's really no reason not to torque them. So as you can see, the Emporia is installed. which makes it a little bit messier, but that's all right. I had to jump it into these two breakers here because you need one of the L1 and L2 going to the Emporia, as well as through the CTs. And we got our Wi-Fi sticking out the side there. All the cables are in. All right, speaking of torquing, I just picked up this Husky inch-pound torque wrench, and we're going through and looking at the panel door, which has all of our torque specs on it. And we're going to torque each of the main lugs to that spec. That includes a neutral and ground bar, and we're just waiting to hear that click. Here's the final look. I did add in a couple of more sensors on some branch circuits, but it's done. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. That was a lot of information. If I missed anything, please ask questions in the comment section. I'm always down there answering questions that you guys have. Don't forget to check out the Down to the Frame merch, as well as our future videos that this service or this sub panel is going to allow us to do. A couple of electrical upgrades. And if you guys have any ideas for the channel, also put those in the comment down below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time on Down to the Frame.